The huge demonstrations against the Iranian regime show no signs of abating. That's despite reports of hundreds of deaths of protesters and security staff in a government crackdown on the rallies. Real numbers are hard to get as international media are mainly blocked from reporting in Iran. Plus, there's been no internet for days. Iranian authorities shut it down to contain the demonstrations and cover up atrocities, according to human rights groups. The world is now waiting to see if US President Donald Trump follows up on his threat to strike Iran's regime for killing protesters. Iran's parliamentary speaker says any attack would see Iran strike US military bases in the region and Israel, which is reportedly on high alert. Daniela Sepheri is a German-Iranian activist based in Berlin. How dangerous has it become to take to the streets of Iran right now?
It's extremely dangerous for the people to go out and protest, and they still do it. We are getting reports, horrible reports of massacres happening in Iran. Hospitals are under a lot of pressure. There are not enough doctors. Reports have been saying that the regime is shooting directly at the people's head and chest and face, and that they don't have enough surgeons to treat all these patients, and that even regime forces are coming inside the hospitals to kidnap the wounded ones.
We've been hearing of head injuries, eye injuries, and doctors talking about hundreds of dead. Is there any way to verify these videos that are coming in, the numbers that are coming in?
It's completely difficult to verify the numbers that we are getting because of the internet shutdown. Through Starlinks, it is possible to get some of the videos. Iranian exile media is verifying them all day long. BBC, for example, has talked to 2 hospitals. In Rash, there were 70 people dying in just one hospital in just one day. And we can only assume that there must be thousands of people that have been murdered only in this last 2 or 3 days.
What makes the Iranian regime think this sort of reaction will have some sort of success when the people are obviously desperate?
This is the only answer that the regime has, and this has been going on for decades. We have seen it in protests before, that the regime can only answer with violence because they do not care for the people's demands, they do not care for the people's well-beings. But this kind of crackdown is the most brutal that we have ever seen before. Me personally, I have never seen anything like this before. This is even way more brutal than November 2019, where the internet was also shut down for a whole week and there have been 1,500 deaths. But this is way more brutal than ever before.
And we mentioned the economic desperation. How has it come to that? Is the rift between rich and poor so big? Is the government so out of touch?
The gap between rich and poor is so big that there is no middle class even left anymore in Iran. And the richer the elite gets, the poorer the people get. And this is something that the people see, that the regime is getting richer and richer, while they cannot even pay for their daily life. They cannot even pay for meat, for example, even though they have 2 or 3 different jobs to have the cost of living. But they see that the regime takes the money of the people and puts it into the terror proxies in the region, gets richer day by day, and that's why the economic situation is always tied to the political situation in Iran, and that's why this is not only economical protest, but a protest that is asking the question of the system.
Is there anything that makes you think the system's going to change, that this regime can actually hold on?
I don't think that the regime can hold on for too long. The regime is weaker than ever before internationally. For example, in Syria, there is no Assad anymore, or there's no Maduro in Venezuela as well. So all the international partners are being taken down one after another. And also in the country, there is no legitimation from the people. People are not supporting this regime anymore. So the regime is fighting for its survival, but so are the people in Iran.
But what would come next? I mean, you compare it to Venezuela. There we see a regime still in place under not Maduro, but his deputy. What would happen in Iran?
My hope is that the people in Iran can change their future and change their country according to their own will, have free elections and a referendum, what they do to their country, what system they want, what government they want. And this is my biggest hope, that the people in Iran can choose that freely.
How can they do that, though, when they can't even protest legally?
Well, the thing is that the regime has to collapse for this to happen, because the people in Iran know that there are no changes, no referendum, no elections with this regime anymore. And this is also nothing that the regime wants. We don't hear anything from the regime that they are willing to negotiate about leaving Iran, but staying for a bit or going a middle path. This is not what the people want. The people want the regime to be gone, and after the mullahs are gone, then they can have free elections, and then they can design their own country.
No mullahs, no shahs?
This is something the people in Iran have to decide. There are some people who want the Shah back, some people who don't. It's mostly the ethnical minorities also. They do not want the Shah back. And this is something that I cannot decide from Berlin because I don't live there. The people in Iran have to decide that.
How long is this road to a different future going to be, do you think, for the Iranians?
I hope it's not too long anymore. I hope to celebrate our New Year's festival, which is in March, in Tehran with my family. But this is something that only time can show. We cannot predict the future, but I hope it comes to an end sooner than later, because there are lives at risk, people being slaughtered on the streets every day, and this has to stop.
Is it possible for you to go back, safely enter and leave the country?
Not right now, but hopefully in a free and democratic Iran, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for coming in today. It's been great talking to you and getting your perspective. German-Iranian activist Daniela Sepheri. Sima Sabet is an Iranian journalist and has her own talk show and joins us from London. Thank you for joining us here on DW News. Sima, despite the difficulties in contacting family and friends, what are the bits and pieces you're able to stitch together to tell us what's going on?
Until now that we are talking, there has been more than 67 hours of total internet blackout in Iran. So no one is able to get into internet from any part of Iran unless they have a Starlink. The news that we are receiving from Iran is extremely disturbing. Today I was reading an account from Iran which they could pass messages from Tehran saying that in hospitals in Tehran is full of injured and also bodies of the killed ones in the protest. BBC could verify at least 110 people were killed on Friday, 9th of January, only in Tehran and Rasht, which is another city in north part of Iran. Most of the surgeons stay in the hospitals because there is no way of communication. Mobile phones are disconnected, landlines are disconnected in many cities. People have no way of communicating to each other. So the picture that we have from Iran is very, very disturbing. Many people from outside of Iran, they have absolutely no way of getting in touch with families inside. People inside are not able to communicate. And also we have also news from other cities of Iran, including Ilam. I have someone which was living in Ilam and could communicate through satellite. He was saying that people cannot get into ATMs, there is no money, banks are not working, people cannot have cash. Nothing is almost working in many cities, and the price of food has gone really, really high. So apart from the protests, there are also disruptions in lives of people everywhere in Iran.
Considering that some human rights groups and other journalists are calling this a massacre, would Iranians welcome the US bombing their country in retaliation?
Well, I guess that's at the moment that could be the only hope for Iranian inside Iran, because the government is killing in big numbers. Some sources, they are saying within the first 48 hours of internet blackout, they killed more than 2,000 protesters. Of course, I mean, until we have full access into information inside Iran, we won't be able to assess how many, but many are worried that it could be much, much more than what has been announced, because the Iranian government in 22 protests killed more than 1,500 people only in 3 days. And in those days, there was absolutely no internet connection. Getting back to your question, today there was a statement letter signed by many different fractions and oppositions outside of Iran, including Shirin Ebadi, which is a Nobel Peace Prize winner, Makhmalbaf, which is a filmmaker, Muhtadi, which is a Kurdish opposition leader, Pashai, which is a monarchist. So many different figures. They signed a letter and they requested preventing disaster in Iran requires international action. So this is the clear message that many are thinking that this is the only way to save lives inside Iran. Of course, no one wanted international interference, but there is absolutely no way left because Iranians are on the streets. They are getting killed by the Iranian government, and international help would really change the game.
Okay, for some, the crackdown brings back memories of the Islamic Revolution of the late 70s. Let's take a quick look and I'll come back to you.
Until the 1979, Iran was ruled by a monarch, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran. His government had pursued rapid modernization and maintained close ties with Western powers, especially the United States.
Negotiations and consultations.
But growing dissatisfaction over the Shah's increasingly autocratic rule fueled a broad popular uprising. In 1978, mass protests broke out and eventually ended the Shah's rule. The following year, the Islamic Republic was proclaimed under the new supreme leader, Ayatollah Khomeini. The Shah left Iran and died in exile. Now his son Reza Pahlavi, exiled in the US, appears to be seeking a role in shaping the future of Islamic Republic and actively inciting anti-regime protests.
So Sima, let me ask you about the son of Iran's last Shah. Do you see him returning to Iran?
Yes, he announced in the last his two messages that he was addressing protesters inside Iran. He clearly mentioned that he's going back to Iran. At the moment, I understand that there are discussions about whether he represents everyone or not. I guess everyone who is in Iran, their main priority is that Islamic Republic goes. They don't want Islamic Republic in place. Of course, I mean, they need a figure, at least, to tell them what to do, how to protest, or what is going to come up next. Everyone in Iran, they understand this priority. So I guess, I mean, the question about what would be the figure of ruling in Iran after this revolution goes or can overthrow Islamic Republic is a matter of votes in Iran, and people, of course, I mean, they are mostly pro-democracy and they want a democracy in Iran. But for now, I can see him that he's somehow the main figure at the moment.
Wouldn't he represent a monarchy, though, that caused so much grief in Iran?
Well, he is the son of Shah. People have a nostalgia of economic development during the Shah. Iran was in much, much better position in the world in terms of development, in terms of public relation. Passports had value. People had much better life. So that's one part. What they were trying to achieve during the revolution in 1978, it was to get a political freedom. But after the Islamic Republic, they lost everything altogether. They don't have social freedom. They don't have political freedom. They have a brutal government which suppresses and kills if there is any protest. So I guess that's one of the main reasons that they want him back, and not necessarily having him as a monarch, or there hasn't been a public discussion about what sort of government we are going to have after Islamic Republic. And Prince Reza Pahlavi himself has declared many times that he would submit to people's votes. So I hope that he will keep his word, and also I hope that people of Iran would be able to live a better life. That's what they are protesting for now.
Iranian journalist Sima Sabet, thank you very much for talking to us today.